we're talking about what the special prosecutor has shared in his latest press engagement just yesterday. Lots of things were said, and we want to understand what this means for the fight against corruption. I couldn't think of a better person to help us navigate this topic than the man who made his name before he left as the Auditor General of the Republic of Ghana, Mr. Daniel Domelevo, joining us from a coded location via Zoom this morning. Mr. Domelevo, it's always nice to see you. Good morning. I think you might have to unmute the microphone so we can hear you. There we go. Hopefully we should hear you now. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. It's great to have you on the show,
you
sir.
And your colleagues.
Yes, yes. So, let me start with this just to get your preliminary comments on this very simple question. Is the special prosecutor being buffeted by corruption?
Let me say that I hope you know my position on fight against corruption.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever fights corruption and went scot-free. Once you start fighting corruption, you should be ready. Corruption will fight you back. And I think the special prosecutor should know this. Maybe, I don't know his background, where he has worked and his services in the public sector in particular. But being a lawyer, I'm sure he will have a bit of ideas about this. And it is normal. Corruption will never sit idle or aloof for you to fight it. No. The corrupt are very aggressive. They will use all means possible to fight you. So it is very normal. And I'll be surprised if the special prosecutor did not know this. Regrettable as it is, though. I'm not saying it is the right thing to do. But that is what it is all around the world. The corrupt fight back like nobody's business.
Well, we'll find out if that is actually what is happening to the special prosecutor in the examples he's giving us of what's happening to him with some of these court cases. Is it corruption that is fighting back, or is it something else? Our guest is Daniel Domelevo, and of course he needs no introduction. He used to be the Auditor General, Republic of Ghana, and he famously shook up the system with many of the laws that he implemented, because they already existed. He just implemented them and made quite a difference to the way in which we manage our public funds. Well, he famously said, when you fight corruption, corruption fights back. Is that what is happening to Kissy Ajabing, as he lists a number of instances that lead him to believe that the courts are stacking the odds against him in the fight against corruption? So, Mr. Domelevo, you said it, that, well, it's something that should be expected. It's not a good thing, but it's something that should be expected, that when you try to fight corruption, it will fight back. But there are two sides to this. There are some who believe that that may not necessarily be the problem here, and that, in court, you win some, you lose some. So should Kissy Ajabing really, as a special prosecutor, be concerned with, complaining about what's not going his way, or should he buckle down and get the job done?
I think he should not complain at all, because I made the same point when I was in office. I said, anytime I was acting as Auditor General or doing my work as Auditor General, I was doing it to the best of my ability, and I thought I was doing the right thing. And I give the same benefit of the doubt to the court and other institutions. So I do my work as an auditor, and I expect the court also to do their work as the court. So if you go to court and you don't necessarily get what you want, it does not necessarily mean also that the court is ganging up against you. To be honest, he being a lawyer, I would have expected that some procedural issues may not beat him or he may make sure that he dots all his I's and cross the T, because your opponents will be looking for anything, no matter how trivial, to be used against you. For instance, if you remember, I don't know whether you are going to come into the individual cases, but if you remember the Cecilia Dabas case where he seized items or cash and some other items and
Yes.
went to court late, I was asking myself, what occasion this? Because if the law says come within 2 days, you must necessarily go within 2 days, because you are enforcing the law and you cannot be breaching the law at the same time. You must make sure you are within the ambit of the law. Like Justice Efia told me that I cannot appropriate and reappropriate at the same time. So I understood it. So many times I feel sorry when he has to be thrown out or stopped because of procedural issues or issues which are clear in the law. So that is where some people, in fact, speaking to colleagues from yesterday, there are two sides of the coin. One group of people think that he's just throwing dust into our eyes, pretending he is fighting corruption, and he goes after the people, create loopholes so that the people can escape through it. Another school of thought, which I believe is that, well, he is doing his best, except that fighting corruption is dangerous and corruption will always fight back. Human as he is, he's a lawyer, all right, but human as he is, he will also make mistakes here and there. So if he is being corrected by the court, it should not be taken as maybe the court coming against. It's a trite knowledge that our courts are not free of corruption anyway. That was a trite knowledge. I myself, my confidence level in the courts is very, very, very low. That notwithstanding, we have no other option than to go to the court. But that being the case, I would have expected that he makes sure that before taking up any case or doing something, he is within the four corners of the law. Because anytime he sidesteps the law, it will be used against him and he may feel frustrated. But I want to recommend that he should not be discouraged at all. Just as he has the confidence that he's doing his work, he should also trust others that they are doing their work unless they prove otherwise. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Domelevo, why is your confidence in the court very low?
Well, the courts have not shown me enough reason to prove that they are in for justice most of the times. You remember there were instances where in fact, just about 2 days ago, even I got a message from what do you call him, Mr. Esankuma. You know, there's a case, Wilberforce versus Attorney General, which has been pending even before the civil society went to court against the president, against the Attorney General in the president's directive to me. It is still pending. There are some very simple cases that the court just don't show any interest in them. And there are other cases that they are treated with so much despite. And I am not a legal person, but the law must make sense. Because you hear the ruling and you ask yourself, does this make sense? If that is the law, then I think we better change that law. And you find the confidence level, as far as I'm concerned, in the judiciary becoming low and low. Me, I prefer even dealing with the lower courts than the higher courts, where we should expect justice. Because you go to the Supreme Court and you don't know why the courts are deciding that way. Let me give you another example. If you remember the case in Crow and Associates, the Osafo case, the questions referred to the Supreme Court was to determine whether the evidence which Mr. Osafo didn't present for audit were subject of what do you call it, judicial secret, national security or national interest, or it is not. And whether the issues of national security were excluded or exempt from audit. The Supreme Court finally dodged the question, set their own question by asking the Auditor General to go and verify the evidence, if you remember that. And when the president asked me to go on leave, the next day the acting Auditor General then, which they themselves says he was acting unconstitutionally, provided a report to say that he was satisfied. Here is someone whose position of occupation of the office as Auditor General was questioned or being questioned in front of you, and you accepted the verdict of the same person and used it. So at times I was like, this court is giving us a lot of cause to worry.
Now,
well, it may be appropriate in law, but it doesn't make sense to me.
so if your confidence in the court is low, does it not support Mr. Kisi Jabin's frustration and belief that there is a system or there is something against the office of the Special Prosecutor?
I don't think so. Let me say that I generalize it, but there are exceptions. There are several situations in which you see the court has done the right thing. But what I said was a generalization. He may need to go a bit further for us to know whether the court has actually ganged up against him or not, especially when he's able to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, or tick all the boxes. I'm sure that he has no procedural issue. But I know the judges and the lawyers will tell you that procedure is very important. So I think this is a wake-up call for him. And I want to also advise him that he should know that it's going to be more. Now, I think this is the warming up stage. As he goes into holding people accountable, the fight.
I think our connection to Mr.
Is
Daniel
going to be ganging up yet.
Right. Can you hear us? I hope we've re-established the connection there.
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful. All right, we're talking to Daniel Domelevo. He used to be the Auditor General for the Republic of Ghana, and we're talking about the Office of the Special Prosecutor, the briefing that was held by that office yesterday, where the Special Prosecutor himself addressed the media, raising several concerns about his relationship, if you will, with the court system. He made a point, Mr. Domelevo. The Special Prosecutor made a point yesterday that if we lose the OSP, we lose the fight against corruption. Do you agree?
Not entirely correct, because there are several other angles or arms of fighting corruption. But the OSP, as it is now, plays a very, very important role. Said that his office, or he, needs all of us our support. And I'm very happy that he has started courting the media. I made 2 proposals when I was giving thanks when the president said I should go home. I said 2 things. 1, you can't fight corruption alone. So you need to partner other people. And he must necessarily partner the civil society, the media, and others who are ready to work with him. Because if you go alone, it is just an impossible task. I made another statement to say that you can't fight corruption quietly. If you close your door or if you shut your door and you fight corruption, before we find you, you are rotting inside there. They will kill you. So it is good that he continuously engage the public, because his accountability is to the public, not to the executive or to the parliament or to the judiciary. I think when I was in office, my loyalty and accountability was to the Ghanaian public. And the medium through which you can get that done and done well is using the media. So you should befriend the media. You should be media friendly. Occasionally when they call him, he should come and specifically explain some things that he thinks we don't understand to us. When we understand what he's doing, then we can situate issues as they come. But at the moment, the information sharing is, well, I'm not judging him, but it's a bit scanty. So he should continuously engage the media. I don't say he should stop his work, but he should be more media friendly so that we can understand what is happening.
Now, Kisi Jabin is quite frontal in his criticism of, the judiciary, and he says that he fully expects the judiciary to welcome criticism. But he's quite frontal in his accusations that they are not being fair to him. His predecessor, Martin Amidu, was also frontal in his criticism of the executive, claiming that they were making his job difficult, calling the president the mother serpent of corruption. I'm wondering, is the problem with the office, or are all the organs of government actually genuinely obstacles to the fight against corruption?
Well, I don't think the problem is with the office. The problem is when you fight corruption. It's about fight against corruption. Whoever thinks you are fighting him will look at how he or she will fight you back. So I can identify with the frustrations of both my senior Martin Amidu and my brother Kisi Ejabe. They should not take it personal. They are doing their work. They should do it to the best of their abilities. What the intentions of the executive or the judiciary is, they cannot control it. They have no control over that. And you can't wish that everybody in the world is like you, or even everybody in your team is like you. No, we are different people. So as much as it's painful when you like to do the right thing for the nation, at times you find people abusing their offices against you. He should not give up. He should keep doing the good work that he is doing. But it is good that he is aware that there is some alleged orchestration against his office. This is where he must make sure that he builds a team which is very solid, which goes through everything and ensure that they tick all the boxes, so that they don't use procedural issues to stop him from doing his work. It can be frustrating when you hear him. When I heard him yesterday, I was like, oh, this is serious. And of course, especially when he is not being allowed to do the investigation, nobody knows what we will be stumbling on as discovering the next step of the investigation, and that is being stopped. But it is equally true that investigation can also be used to abuse other people's rights. I suffered that myself. When there was this, I don't know if you remember this allegation that I went and bought vehicles illegally, and
Yes.
even the people who constituted the committee to do the whole thing, because there's what we call the entity tender committee, the members, including the chair, they were invited by Yoko. Yoko did not even reprimand any of them or needed any of them to be granted bail. Who they claimed that just because I was the institutional head, and by the law, if you read the Procurement Act, the head of entity is not on the tender committee of independent constitutional bodies. They said just by the fact that I was a head, I needed my driver to bail me before I could go home. And I found it ridiculous. As a result of which, I also had to go to court to restrain the Yoko. And there was a judgment, I think about 2 years ago, a year ago or 2 years ago, I think 2 years ago, by the High Court, who said they were operating unlawfully or illegally because it was not even within their mandate. So, if Kisi Jabin will not like us to go to court, at times he may also sidestep his mandate. And how do we check that? You still have to go to the court and check it. That's why I am saying that he should operate under the premise or the assumption that he is doing the best that he can for this country, and also assumes that others are also doing their best for the country. That is how we can all coexist.
Right. We're having a conversation with Daniel Domelevo, former Auditor General of Ghana, and we're trying to analyze the situation, the predicament that Kisi Jabin finds himself in as Special Prosecutor. Yes, it's a public office, and it comes with these difficulties. Okay, when we come back from these messages, a couple of things. What does all of this do to the reputation of the judiciary? Also, what is the way forward? Christians ask themselves a question. They say, what would Jesus do? WWJD. When we come back, WWDD. What would Domelevo do? Stay with us.
Your morning radio.
All right. Now, let's ensure the protection of the fight against corruption. Our conversation is with Daniel Domelevo this morning, and we're analyzing the OSP's concerns about his relationship with the court. Mr. Domelevo, you've talked about your own views of the court and their commitment to the administration of justice. But let's talk about the reputation of the court in general, amongst Ghanaians. Afrobarometer says that, confidence in the court system is at an all-time low. Former President Mahama says that appointments into the court system are partisan, and that the courts and that judges are not balanced. Now the OSP is, casting questions about the court's commitment to the fight against corruption. What is this doing to the reputation of our judicial system, and how does that affect not just the fight against corruption, but the rule of law in daily life in Ghana?
Well, in my considered opinion, it doesn't reflect positively on the image of the judiciary, because some of us are not lawyers, so they can pardon us, as the office of the president used to say. We think when you go to court, you must be looking for justice, not to just technicalities. So when the law is becoming too technical, also in the words of the National Security Minister, interpreted in one way, said that others can think that no, the judiciary is always for one side of the coin. I don't think it augurs very well for them. Let me tell you something very interesting which happened to me. When the judgment in the case of the Civil Society Vice Attorney General on my unconstitutional leave came, I said, thank God, at least I'm vindicated, and I was happy. Justice delayed, justice denied, but I don't mind what time the justice came. Later on, I got a copy of the judgment itself and read it. And I said, these guys. So they were thinking about themselves. If you read the judgment, you see that they were worried that if they did not protect me, a time will come when they themselves will also be sent on the same type of leave or be removed from office. So they were thinking about themselves and not about the case. You read the judgment. When the day I read it, I said, oh my God, these guys. So you stated, in fact, they even mentioned that the Chief Justice may be asked to go on leave. The Electoral Commissioner may be asked to go on leave. So that is what informed them. So they saw their own office under threat. That's why they were deciding that way. And then that now make me to say that, oh, okay, no wonder they delayed the judgment. So it was not about me. They delayed it to a point where they realized that, well, as for me, my right is gone. It's long gone. There is nothing I can do. I can't come back because I'm on pension. So now they have to use that opportunity to protect themselves. So if this is the case, then it doesn't help the judiciary. I am not saying that they are wrong. They are wrong every time they take their decisions. But like Honorable Kandapa said, the decisions must be such that we can say that, oh, this one we agree. And if we normally agree with them, and there are some that we don't agree with, we can give them the benefit of the doubt. That maybe it is professional, it is technical, we didn't understand it. But when it is a common sense issue, and even we think it doesn't pass the test of common sense, then we wonder how professional it becomes in the future. It affects the fight against corruption seriously because, mind you, like I said earlier on, once you start fighting corruption, corruption will fight you. And the ultimate place that you go when you are fighting corruption is the court. And if you are not sure that the court is going to do the right thing or going to support what is right, then it becomes a problem. But that should not deter anyone.
Right, we must apologize for the choppy connection we have to Mr. Domelevo. We're working to clean it up so that we can have uninterrupted communication with him. Currently, I think we've been frozen out of that connection. We're working on it. Mr. Domelevo, I wonder if you can hear us now.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We got the gist of your submission there. Unless you wanted to add to it.
No, I think I'll stop here.
All right, fabulous. Well, that leaves just the one question. Of course, it's a public office in which Mr. Kisi Ajabing is serving, and there are others. this could be a cautionary tale for all of those whose office requires them to combat corruption. So, what would you do if you found yourself in a situation where the law courts appear to be the obstacle in your bid to fight corruption? What would you do? You say he shouldn't complain, but what should he do?
Well, what he should do is he should fight on, because I don't believe also that all the judges are corrupt. I don't believe that even if there's a ganging up, all the judges in our courts will agree to do what is wrong. So he should continue. Even if he wins one case for us, it is good enough. So to me, those who are advising that he should resign, I think I disagree. He himself said he is Ankwanoma. He has sacrificed his life. Also made me cry about for the. So what do you cry about for the? They are continue fight, continue fighting till you bring the fight to an end. And when your time reaches, then you go. So I will advise him that he should be resolute in his fight against the corruption, but he should take time to ensure that he's operating within the ambit of the law, because he should know. I think he's a lawyer, so he should know this better. Anytime he steps the boundaries of the law, it will be used heavily against him. So my advice to him is that he should remain in office. He should calm down. He shouldn't be worried. He should, as I said earlier on, court the media, the civil society, bring people on board, form partnership. People think that when you link up or collaborate with other people, it means you are no more independent. I disagree. I don't think that's the meaning of independence. You can still collaborate with people and do your work as expected of you. So as for resignation or giving up the fight, I advise that he should not do that. He should continue fighting. At the end of the day, the right will prevail against the wrong.
I think that is a very poignant point on which we can wrap up our conversation. We want to thank you profusely, Mr. Daniel Domelevo, for spending your morning with us. We appreciate your insights.